Hello, welcome to Waypoint Survival. Today, let's talk about how to start a fire in the rain. We're out here in the woods on my property, and it's just raining. It's been raining since last night. There's Spirit. He's come along with me for the video shoot today. And so this is one of my favorite spots in my forest, where I have a huge amount of cedars and somewhat of a cedar thicket. And so going to be checking out some of the foliage around here and looking to see if we can't find enough dry tinder to get a fire started. So one of the things that we're looking for in a wet condition, and you can see here the water droplets hanging off of these branches. I mean, it's been raining for hours. But one of the things that we're looking for in the woods here is we're looking for these really tiny twigs. And these just super small. You can see compared to my hand, got a little bit of dirt on there from being in the woods here. But you want to snap these off. They're still dry. Now they're dry on the inside, but they're very small. And you need like a large amount of this. Get as many of these as you can, and just keep picking them off. Yeah, I've got quite a few here. I said this is a cedar thicket, and so what I do is I just go and I find these are dead branches at the bottom of cedar trees like this, and the growth, because the cedar will shade itself out. Almost everything that grows from about 10-12 feet down is usually dead on these branches, and they've been dead and dry a long time. Because they're not laying on the forest floor, they are normally pretty well dried out and much drier than if you would pick them up off the ground. So we're going to keep on doing this till we have a large bundle of this size of twigs, and then we're going to get a little bit larger size, and we'll show you how to get your fire started even in the rain using wet wood. Okay, so we've got our bundles of wood. Here's our really small bundle with some larger sized twigs. We're just going to shake the water off of it, and then find a place over here on the ground where we can rest it. And then, as you should always do in most situations, we need to make a small platform on the ground to try to protect our fire, even if it's slightly damp wood, from the mist and the steam and all of that that's coming up from the ground. So I've got plenty of sticks here behind me, and I'm just going to break off some of this. And we're just going to use this as a small platform. This wood is fairly dry on the inside, so we can split it perhaps and turn it over and just make a small platform for our fire. Just grab it and open it up like that. Now, we all know that rain and water or fire doesn't mix. So we have to overcome the elements. We have to have things with us in our kit to be able to start a fire. When things are this damp and there's this much humidity in the air, starting a friction fire is pretty much out of the question. So yeah, obviously carry a Bic lighter, carry some, stormproof, waterproof matches. Or you can do what I do. Inside of my jacket, let me wipe my hands off here a little bit, I have a Ziploc bag, and in my Ziploc bag, which I carry always in my fire kit, I have some cotton balls with petroleum jelly inside of an airtight film canister, and then I also have some fat wood. And so we're going to use these two items to start a fire even in this rain. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of shield this with our body. I'm going to reach in here, and I'm going to leave my stuff inside the Ziploc bag. It is actually double bagged for protection. And when you open it, make sure you don't open it with the top up to the rain. Always keep your fire kit as waterproof as possible and as free from moisture. So we're going to lay it here. We're going to take our petroleum jelly cotton ball. Now normally we try to really be conservative on this, but for this fire, because it's raining, we're going to need some extra material. So we're going to use pretty much an entire cotton ball to get this fire started. Now, cotton ball petroleum jelly is waterproof. And of course you can use a ferro rod, you know, even in the rain. It doesn't affect them, and I've done it effectively many, many times. So we're going to put it down here on our platform. I'm going to reach inside the other pocket here, get out the ferro rod and the striker. Alright, we have a little flame. As you saw, it took me several strikes to get that burning. Now I want to shield this from my body. I also want it, or from my hat rather, and shield it with my body because the drips from my hat could put this out. I'm going to reach in here and I'm going to pull out some fat wood. I'm going to go for some little slivers first. The slivers, of course, light quicker because of their smaller size. And again, I'm continuing to shield it with my body, and then I'm going to add some larger pieces of fat wood. Trying, of course, not to smother the flame, but encouraging it to burn. As you can see, I've achieved a fire. Took me quite a few strikes with the ferro rod, but I expected that in this kind of condition. You should expect it as well. Larger piece of fat wood now. Put it on our fire. And one more. It may look like I'm wasting resources, but in this kind of condition, this is what your resources are for. This is why we carry items in our kit to ensure we can start a fire in any kind of situation. Make sure that you close it back up. Alright, now that we have a good fire going, we're going to take our small twigs and we're going to hold it like this. Over, but not onto the fire. We're going to keep shielding it with our body, and we're going to let the flames just lick up through these very tiny twigs. What the heat is going to do is it's going to burn out the water. I can hear it sizzling. And it's going to ignite these twigs. As soon as it gets going good, I'm going to go ahead and lay it down. Okay? I've already got ignition of some of my smaller sticks. And then as soon as that gets burning well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking my larger sticks here. I mean, they're literally dripping wet with water. And I'm going to shake it off. Try to get as much of that off as I can. You want to wait until the fire is somewhat up above your tinder. And we're going to lay that on there. You can immediately see the steam and the smoke that's coming off of this from all of this wet wood. We're going to continue to shield it with our body and give the flames a chance to work. An added benefit of putting larger sticks like this over top of a fairly hot fire is we create somewhat of a temporary roof over top of our small twigs and the little embers that we've created down on the bottom, which gives the fire a chance to gain strength without having so much water and moisture dripping down on it. I'm continuing to shield it with my body and just let the wood do its thing. Yeah, you're going to smell like smoke. Sometimes adding a little oxygen is a good idea. So we're going to get under here and we're going to blow on it just a bit. Okay, so here's why you always want to make sure that you save a little of your resources. I've got some extra pieces of fat wood in here, and sometimes, just as in this situation, The fire's doing pretty good, but it's kind of at that stage where it's sort of iffy. So you always want to have a few extra pieces. Don't use all your resources up all at once. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of pieces, these smaller slivers of fat wood that I keep in my bag here, and we're going to stick them down in here vertically, because fire likes to burn up, just like this. And we're going to be helping our fire achieve ignition, and it's going to help dry out. We've still got a pretty good bed of coals down under the bottom, but it's okay to add some extra dry wood or fat wood, whatever you have with you, to help your fire get going. It's continuing to rain, so we're going to do what we have to do to get our fire going. Now what we're doing is we're taking these hot coals of these little small twigs from the bottom, and we're going to lay them on top. And what this is going to do, this is going to allow our fire now to burn up our coals at the bottom. We've got our bigger sticks in the middle, and now we've got our very small twigs on the top, and this fire, this heat in here is going to help dry it up both from the top and the bottom. As you can see, it's working quite well. We not only have flame over here, but we've got a nice flame coming up here toward the back. So we're just going to keep letting this burn and do its thing, and we'll let it build and grow, and we'll get back to you here shortly. So the fire continues to burn. I didn't add any more fat wood, and just been piling some larger and larger sticks on here. Have not used a saw. This is all entirely cedar, except for of course, the fat wood and then the petroleum jelly soaked cotton balls. And so all I'm doing now is just kind of the classic TP structure, letting the heat from the bottom just warm it up. And most of what you see coming up here is steam, not just smoke, because all of this is, except for what's wet, all of this is really dry wood. So once it dries out, it'll burn pretty clean and pretty clear without a whole lot of smoke. And as you can see, by the size of my hands, it's a pretty good sized fire, and it is self-sustaining. I've got a good bed of coals down at the bottom. I have been occasionally pulling out some of the smaller twigs like I showed you before and putting them on top to help the ignition process. You just want to really be careful when you're doing this in any kind of situation. When you start pulling sticks out, you can cause your fire to shift and fall apart. And fire likes buddies. It likes to be together. So as long as you keep that heat concentrated, you can get a good burn going. But if you start pulling too much out and your pile shifts and collapses or moves around, sometimes your fire will go out. So it's not always good to mess with the fire a whole lot when you're trying to get something going, especially in the rain. Alright, there we go. Now all we would have to do is just simply keep adding more wood to the fire, and we can build it as big as we want. When it gets to this stage, even damp wood is not going to put the fire out. So we can take a small bundle of twigs, put it on here, and it'll dry it out and just keep right on burning. And of course, at some point, this wood burns hot and it burns fast. So we'll want to put some kind of a hardwood or something on here. We have all kinds of hickory and oak and other types of trees around here that I would use to put on this to make it a more long-burning, sustainable fire. And here's one more shot of our blazing fire. It's going real good. Rain's coming down. But that's okay. This is James Bender for Waypoint Survival. Please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to check the links in the description box below, and make sure and press that bell button to stay notified of all of our upcoming videos, and we'll talk to you next time. Well, there's no danger of forest fires, but we don't want to just leave this fire burning, so we're going to put it out. We're just going to scatter it out like this a little bit. And, as you can see, we've got a really good bed of coals. Everything's really wet. soon as it touches the ground, pretty much it goes out. And that's that.